Please sit in a comfortable meditation posture and close the eyes. Put your attention on the silent witness, that deep inner silence that's always there, and become the silent witness. Listen to the words of the Yoga Vasishtha, Chapter 7 of Book 5. 2 ways to attain self-realization: effort and intuition. Vasishtha continued. Ram, I have told you how mankind generally attains knowledge. Now I will tell you of another different method. Ram, we have 2 ways that are best calculated for the salvation of souls born in human bodies on earth. One is through attainment of heavenly bliss, the other by their final blessing of bliss. There are 2 methods of gaining these objects. One is the observance of the teacher's instructions, which gradually leads one to his perfection in the course of 1 or many births. The second is the attainment of knowledge by intuition or self-inquiry, the self-culture of a partly intelligent being. This is like obtaining fruit falling from heaven. So what is this self-inquiry? Obviously, this is turning the attention inward and becoming the silent witness. Every time you become the silent witness, identifying with it fully, you have a taste of moksha. It is very easy to do. There is almost no doing at all, only just a change in the focus of your attention. Karmic traces operate to distract you from this focus. But while we're holding this focus of being the silent witness, our progress, balancing karmic traces, is accelerated greatly. This is because the silent witness, in its ultimate form, is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God. When we put our attention on that level of the source of everything, it is the antidote for every karmic trace. Every karmic trace is spontaneously and quickly balanced as it arises in the awareness. By putting our attention on the silent witness, we are totally optimizing our time. For extremely rapid advancement to moksha level 4. Because not only does this balance all the karmic traces that are known as individual karmic traces, those actions that were not in accord with the divine karmic traces in this universe, but it also balances the divine karmic traces. And so this is a direct and immediate path to achieving Brahman consciousness, moksha level 4. Here now about the attainment of the silent witness. Which is like getting fruit fallen from the sky. From an old tale, which I will now relate. Hear the happy and holy story which removes the chains of our good and evil deeds. Balances all karmic traces. And which the last born men, now living, must taste with a zest for their enlightenment, as others taste a fruit falling from heaven for their entertainment. Chapter 8. Janaka hears the songs of the holy masters, the Siddhas. Vasishta continued. There lives the mighty king of the Deha, Janaka by name, who is blessed with all prosperity and unbounded understanding. He is like the ever fruitful, wish-fulfilling tree to the host of his suitors, and like the vivifying sun to his lotus-like friends. He is like the genial spring to the small flowers of his relatives, and like Kama, the god of love to females. Like the changing moon, he gives delight to the twice-born Brahman. As that luminary makes lilies bloom. Like the bright sun, he destroys the darkness of his gloomy enemies. He is an ocean of gems of goodness to all, and the support of his kingdom. Like Vishnu, the supporter of the world. One spring evening, Janaka appeared to wander about a forest, abounding in young vines with bunches of crimson blossoms on them, resonant with the melody of sweet-sounding kokila nightingales, warbling their tuneful chords. He walked among flowery pleasure gardens, resembling graceful beauties with ornaments upon them, and sported in their covered shelter as the god Indra sports in his Nandana pleasure gardens. Leaving his attendants behind him, he stepped into a grove standing on the plain of a hill in the midst of that romantic forest, which was smelling with the fragrance of flowers, borne all about by playful winds. In one place, within a covered shelter of tamara trees, he heard a mingled voice like that of some invisible aerial spirit masters, the Siddhas. I will now recite to you, O lotus-eyed Ram, the songs of the spiritual masters, living in the retired solitude of mountainous regions and dwelling in the caverns of hills. The songs relate principally to their spiritual meditations. The masters sang, "We adore that being which is neither the subjective nor objective, and which in our belief is the positive joy that rises in our souls and has no fluctuations in it." Others chanted, "We adore that being which is beyond the triple states of the subject, its attribute and its object. It is the spiritual light of the soul, which exists from before the light of vision, and which is derived from the light of the sun." Others chanted, "We adore that being which is in the midst of all that is said and what is not." Some sang, "We adore that real existence which is all, who owns all things, by whom all is made, from whom all has sprung, for whom they exist, in whom they exist, to whom do all return, and into which they are all absorbed." These are all descriptions of the qualities of the silent witness. Some sang, "We adore that spirit which begins with the letter Ah and ends with H, with the dot, and which we continually inspire and respire in our breathing. Hansa, I am he." Others said, "Those who forsake the Lord situated within the cavity of their hearts and resort to others outside are truly in search of trifles. By ignoring the wish-fulfilling gem, Koshtama, they have in their hands." Others declared, "By forsaking all other desires, one obtains the object of his wish." This being said, the poisonous plants of all other desires are entirely uprooted from the heart. Some of them pronounced, saying, "The foolish man who knows the tastelessness of all worldly things, but still attaches his mind to earthly objects, is an ass and not any human being. Others said, the sensual desires that constantly rise like snakes from the cavities of the body are to be killed by the cudgel of reason, as Indra broke the hills by his thunderbolt. Well, this is a very clear description of what we were just mentioning, that when one is the silent witness, identified as the silent witness, there will arise various desires and thoughts from the karmic traces. Both the individual and the divine karmic traces will produce impetus for action. From the perspective of the karmic traces, if the karmic traces are individual, they will create more karmic traces if they're acted upon. But when we are established as the silent witness, it is easy to notice which of these karmic traces are arising from individual karmic traces and which are divine karmic traces. So we use our intellect to distinguish between the two. And we ignore those that are arising from individual karmic traces. And that is the first level of karmic traces to be balanced. Each time a karmic trace arises, our attention is drawn toward it, and we pull back our attention and ignore it. That finalizes the balancing of that karmic trace. The same principle that we apply during meditation when thoughts arise in meditation. We say thoughts that arise in meditation are the result of karmic traces balancing. At last they said, let men try to secure the pure happiness of stillness, which serves to give tranquility to the minds of the righteous. The sober-minded who are situated in their real and natural temperament have their best rest in the lap of undisturbed and everlasting tranquility. Chapter 9, Janaka's reflection. Vasishtha continued. Upon hearing these compositions of the spiritual masters, King Janaka was dejected in his mind, like a coward at the noise of a conflict. He returned towards home and traveled there in silence. like a stream gliding in its silent course under the trees on the shore towards the bed of the distant ocean. He left behind all his domestics in their respective rooms below, and ascended alone to the highest balcony, like the sun mounting the top of a mountain. There he saw flights of birds randomly flying in different directions. He thought how men hurried about in the same manner and mourned their deplorable condition. Janaka thinking to himself, "Oh, how miserable that I have to move about in the pitiable state of the restless mob that rolls about like a rolling stone, pushed backward and forward by another. I have a short span of endless duration allotted to my share of lifetime. Yet I am a senseless fool to place my trust in the hope of its durability. The duration of my royal rule is short also, as it is limited to my lifetime. How can I be secure of its continuance like a thoughtless man? I have an immortal soul lasting from before and to continue even after my present existence. The present life is destructible, yet I am a fool to rely upon it like a boy believing a painted moon to be real. Ah, what sorcerer has bewitched me by his magic wand to make me believe that I am not spellbound at all? What faith can I rely upon in this world, which has nothing substantial or pleasant, and nothing grand or real in it? Yet, I do not know why the world eludes my mind. What is far from me appears to be near by my sensation of the same. And what is nearest to me appears to be farthest away. Knowing this, I must abandon outer objects in order to see the inner soul. This hurry of men in their pursuits is as impetuous and transient as the torrent of a whirlpool. It drops them in the depths of their dangers. It is not worth the pain it gives to the spirit. Years, months, days, and minutes revolve with the succession of our pains and pleasures. But these are all swallowed up by the repeated retinues of our misery. Now let us continue, established as the silent witness, and begin the Trimana Sanyama process on the esoteric Maha Mantra. and balance all karmic traces that have arisen during this reading of the Yoga Vishishta. Take her down.